All right. And now we are recording. Awesome. Okay. So nice to meet you. I've heard
Yeah, nice.
about I've heard like the Body Shop Fitness, just kind of been thrown around the gym at Genesis. Uh, but Micah, I don't know if you know Micah. I think he used to work out at your gym for a while. He's a buddy of mine.
Yeah, he still does. I used to train him a while back when we were at Worlds, when we both worked at World Gym. He's the one that actually got me
Oh,
hired at World Gym to get me
really?
started like in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, when did you decide, hey, I want to start my own gym?
Oh man, honestly, dude, probably like about 4 years ago. I moved here. Let's see, July will be 5 years that I've been in Kansas City. Um, we I wanted to get into training. I was just into I was managing bars and restaurants. Kind of
Right.
got tired of it. I wanted to make the jump to personal training, and I was basically too big of a pussy. And my now wife, she kind of just called my bluff and made me do it. And we went from there. And then, it was kind of just how could we scale up? It's not okay with just PT, like we need more.
Right.
At the end of the day, like I love what I do, but when I turn 40, I don't want to be 6 a.m. training clients. So it's like, how do I turn something I love into a more lucrative business that I can make money? So when I'm 45, I can kind of sit on a beach and have a beer and,
Right. Well, I
and
think that's a
still
lot
make
of
some
people's
money on the
goals.
side and still help. You know
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And one thing that I really like, I mean, it's so clear to me when you look at someone's page. And I got into lifting when at a very young age because my dad, he did bodybuilding in the 80s. So, and all my
uh,
uncles are pretty built dudes. So I've always just been like, I just love it. Right. Um, but for me, like, with the social media and stuff now, and you're just looking at all like the bullshit, and you know what I'm talking about, like all the like
oh yeah.
fake the ads and all that shit. But then you come along like guys like
Yeah.
you, and I don't know if you know who Aaron Sawyer is. Uh, guys like you
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, for sure. So guys like you guys, it's like the real deal. You guys aren't pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. You guys are up front, and and you can see that just by social media. You know what I mean? This is the first time I've met you, but I could just tell by your page, like you have a passion for it, and you're not trying to scam anybody or anything like that. So my question to you is like, and I've seen pictures of your gym, and it looks awesome. I love the equipment, but like, what separates Body Shop from like all the other gyms?
I mean, honestly, man, our customer service and our heart, man, starting just from the beginning, I handpicked every piece of equipment. I chose what I
Right.
wanted. I personally drove and picked up everything. I we sunk every dollar we had into that gym. We didn't take any type of financing from any bank. We did it all out of pocket. So, we just have a passion. We know that we're going to succeed and we're going to keep growing. We want you to win, whether you're with us or not with us. I think that's what's different. Genesis, like they're not bad gyms. You know what I mean? They
Right,
succeed, but
right,
we're never going to beat. We're not going to have a 40,000 square foot facility, and I don't want that. I want to be a
right,
gym, and I want to be known for a gym. And I want to have dope equipment, and like where you come in and you can ask us a question without trying to be sold. You know what I mean? Like
right,
we even have, like, we call it trainer in a box, where it's like, if you don't know what you want to do, here's a workout, just go do it.
right, right,
We want you guys to succeed on every level. As our clients, because I have with me, we have 4 trainers. We don't want you to just win on fitness, man. We try to help you in your overall life. Like, we want you to win financially, relationship wise, fit wise. I mean, there's just way more to fitness than,
right.
I mean, people, I always joke that I'm a bad. I always tell people there's more to life than just fitness, and we need to focus on other aspects as well. And I think that's where what
Right.
really sets us apart is just our customer service and our our love for all of our people that come in.
Right. Yeah, so that's one thing. So I actually had a personal trainer myself when I was in high school, and I mean, he was incredible. We were close, And that's the thing, man. It's like there's this dying breed of like that rawness you get out of a gym. You know, like and don't get me wrong, I go to Genesis now. I like the gym, but what I like about guys like you and like my personal trainer, he had his own private gym, it was like me and like, three other guys. So we were real tight. You got it done. We worked out for like 3 hours, just killing shit. And it was incredible, and he also, like you said, they focus. Like if I had a problem, man, he was like my dad. Like if I had a problem, he'd talk to me like, hey Luke, like what's
Yeah.
wrong? What's going on? You know what I mean? And it takes a special kind of person to see that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And but like,
Uh,
go ahead.
oh, no, I was gonna say, we're therapists, man. Like, you got to be able to read your person. Like, I can tell if my clients are having a bad day just by the way they walk through the front door. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to be able to see that.
Right. Yeah, and it takes a special person for that, man. And that's what I'm saying. You can't just have personal trainers like just train and really not have, for one, not have the look. Because you go to a lot of places and they don't have the look. You see some toothpick training people or some fat dude training people. It's like it makes zero sense. You know what I mean? It also, like you said, like how your gym is,
Yeah.
you don't want all this stuff in your gym. You want dope equipment. You want it to be real specific. And to me, a gym like that, it weeds out all the bullshit. It weeds out all the people who come in who just want the okay, I'm gonna come once a week or once a month and just waste my money just to have a membership. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, every gym will have those.
Right.
Like places like Planet Fitness, that's kind of how they make their money. Don't really show up.
Right. 100%.
But with that, like with our trainers, like I don't just hire anyone. I always say people become trainers for two reasons. They either don't know what to do with their life or they have a passion for it. And I'm not going to let someone in the door that just, they don't know what to do. So they want to be a trainer. I want someone who wants to be there, who wants to succeed uh, and build their life and help them. There's no better feeling than helping people pay the bills, doing what they love, and
Right.
giving them the platform to do that. But along the same lines with members, my gym really only has two rules, and it's keep your shirt on and train hard.
Right.
That's really it. Like, I don't care if you're 90, 16, you're 25, like whether I don't know if you see my Instagram post, but whether you want to curl pink dumbbells, you want to walk on the treadmill, you want to squat 500 pounds, you want to step on stage, like we just want effort and like respect everyone else. You know what I mean? We can
Right.
kind of all be like a mesh and get along.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome that you build that community there. And yeah, that's honestly incredible. Like I said, those gyms are just, to me, a dying breed of like that rawness. Now you said like every gym's gonna have some of those. And like I said, I had my trainer and I would see him. Can you could hear me fine, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Just making sure. Just I have a mic here, so I'm just making sure. So as I was
Right.
saying, my trainer, there's people who would come in and out, and I, like you said, every gym's gonna have that. But I just remember he had a I don't give a fuck attitude about those people who just came in. He's like, dude, they're not going to be dedicated. But at the same time, I saw how it irritated him, where it was like, look, yeah, I know I'm going to get money from you coming maybe one or a couple days, but you're wasting my time from training other people who actually want this. You're wasting your time and money. So I'd rather just not be doing this. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
is that kind of how you feel when you get like a client that is like doesn't want to come in and work?
Yeah. And I haven't had that too much. Most of my clients come in and
Oh, okay, hold on. There we go.
Hey, there we go. All right. Yeah.
Sweet,
So, I mean,
sweet.
I heard your question. Yeah. So I have those people that come in and you can kind of tell, but you still try to get them in it. I have fired clients before just because they've been like such a drag, that it like affects me mentally for the rest of my day. And if you don't want to be there, that's fine. Just don't come.
Right.
But when you show up, I want you to try. Um, but it's hard, man. You can't want it for someone else more than they want it for themselves. And
Right.
I've lost clients who like, you want it so bad for them. I have one girl in particular, man, like, we did amazing and then she fell off, and then we do well and then she falls off. And it's just like,
It's the consistency. Right.
You can't get it together. And then you have other people who, you're one of my girls that works for me. She has a client, and God, you got to love her, man. Cause if someone was going to quit, you thought it'd be her. And it's like, you kind of feel like one of the only positive lights in their life. And it's like, you kind of keep them going. You know what I mean? As dumb as it sounds, just personal training, but
no, definitely. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Whether it's relationships, I've been with clients, I've had clients who have been with me for years, and, they've been to my kid's birthday, or my one son, they've been to all of his birthday parties, or I've been to their birthday parties, and, you get brought into, I've had multiple clients get engaged, and, you just build relationships with these people. And that's what we're about. Like, we want to build a relationship. So it's like, it's hard when people do go, you almost take it personal because you just want it so bad for them, but sometimes they just don't want it the same. Right.
What I mean? Right. Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, my trainer, he still calls me to this day. He's hysterical, man. He's from the Bahamas. So he has that accent, and it's fucking hilarious. Just he'll work out in the middle of the workout. He'll go, I know kinesiology. And it's just fucking, it's just hilarious, man. And he'll be like, my white son every time I see him. So, and he calls me all the time, man. But yeah, that's why I love seeing stuff like this. And that's one reason why I had you on. So like getting into fitness, like I've always wondered this, right? Because from me training with a trainer, or just me training personally, I've never actually I've trained like with my friends, like teaching them what I've passed on, right? But I've never trained like a girlfriend. I trained a girl that was like I was dating, and it was horrible because I think our relationship, so it was terrible, so we couldn't do it. Yeah. But what are there really real differences of training like a female or male, or is it just what they want in particular? Or is there like a strategy like what is it?
I mean, there are, man. And like when you said, you trained your girlfriend, so like my wife and I are co-owners of the gym. I'm a little more the face of it. She's a little more like the back end of it. But like she's doing really well, and she's working out again, and I don't want to say dieting, but she's cleaning up her diet. And
right.
It's hard, on the spousal part, it's hard because, when it comes to training, I'll kind of tell her not what to do, but like if I'm seeing something, I'll tweak it, or she'll want me to tweak it. But like when it comes to the diet, like I'll let her kind of make up her own thing, and then we'll go through it together. I'll make suggestions. That's kind of the way to go about that. It's hard to make that separation, at least in our relationship, because we're both petty, but we both like love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. But for just strictly like your female clients versus your male clients, like, are you just kind of going off like what they want in particular, or is there actual things that like, hey, I can't really do this because it's a male client or a female client, or is it really all the same?
Yeah, man, no, it's all completely different. And, I tailor everything.
Right.
So like with every client, we include nutrition. So, I have a full like 30, I think it's like 31 or 32 questionnaire. And with everyone, I go over your eating habits, your workout habits, your sleeping habits. What do you do for work? How's your stress levels? How's your sleep? I have a gut health section on there for women, like period health. And it is completely different because, unfortunately for women, man, they just get bombarded with these hormones, with birth control and stuff like that. Another monster. And it's hard to understand. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm all knowing. But like, I put in the extra effort, and I've read like 3 period books last year, you know what I mean?
Right.
To learn hormones. And sometimes you have to attack women completely different. Especially because I coach athletes too, who are enhanced or not enhanced,
Right.
and women have to be careful because their bodies don't respond to men's. Like, with men, we can kind of just run their ass into the ground.
Right.
And they'll pop back. And women are fun because women usually have higher tolerance than men, and they train harder a lot of times.
Really,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Your women will not all women, but like when you get one, like they'll push harder than any man.
Right.
But at the time you have to control them a little more because they don't bounce back, and they can just get ran into the ground and they're down for the count. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's because of the hormones and stuff like that, right?
The hormones. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you think about it, like men are of course higher in testosterone, and
Right.
testosterone blocks cortisol, which is our stress hormone.
Right.
And women, since they have like a fraction of the testosterone as a man, they can't blunt the stress as well as men can.
Right.
But as well as like, man, I hate to say it, but like women can be a little more needy. You know what I mean? I've lost some female clients because they didn't feel like I was in tune enough. But at the end of the day, I'm here to do my job, and I stick only to my job. We can talk when we're in person, but I'm not like going to sit here and text about your boyfriend problems and stuff like that. Like, I'm not getting in.
Right.
Out of wife, I would never let anything like ever come to that. So it can be a challenge, man. And I like to train men, especially my athletes. I prefer men. But in person, I think I almost train more women. And
Really?
they're a whole nother challenge though. It's, from the hormonal side, it's just, you really have to be on top. And they all went different.
Right. Well, and I'm sure like as a man training a woman versus like a woman training a woman and a man training, like it's probably a challenge as a man training females. I bet it's a big challenge because there's less that you could relate to, obviously. Right.
Yeah, there's less you can relate to, and you have to be open to it. But at the same time, there's not all women want to train with men. So you have to find, like, I don't want to say the right woman that wants to train with you, but I'm an intimidating person, I've been told. So a lot of women don't want to train with me because at first glance, they don't want to talk to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, find that right person to kind of mesh with you. And that's why, with PT, like, we always give a first session for free.
Right.
You can just see if you mesh with us. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want you to get forced into something that you don't like. You should be able to try it out. You don't ever buy a car without driving it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
right. That's it. You totally answered what I wanted. My trainer, he's an older guy. So he always is like, he kind of said what you said, like, oh, like women are just needy. And I don't know how to deal with it, especially at this older age. I think that's exactly. And I'm sure he probably would have got in trouble with his wife, but my
eating in a bad way. It's just like,
well, he would always tell me like women always are like, well, I want to lose this amount of weight. I want to lose this weight in my arms and stuff like that. And he's like, doesn't exactly work like that. Right.
Well, and the hard part is that the hardest part with women is that oh, sorry. Am I allowed to curse on here?
No, I don't give a shit. You're good. Yeah.
Man, fucking media and magazines, dude, they just target women so hard. And it's like, I opened a magazine the other day at Walmart, and I was like, this is some bullshit. And it's like, fix your thyroid by eating vegetarian. It's like, there's so much more to it than that. And it's like, lose 30 pounds in 30 days or this or that. And our women are targeted so hard that they just come to you with unrealistic results, and they're eating like calories. And, I had to tell them that I had to up your food. You're not eating anywhere near enough. And, I had to eat more. Like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And really had to get them to buy in. And I had to like go down like a 30-minute rabbit hole of explaining the process. And, even at the end, they're still kind of like, and then I'm like, please trust me. Like, just let it happen. I have it going on right now. I've had a girl that's been with me for a while, and I love training her. And we've been doing macros for a while, and she wanted to stay on macros, stay on macros, stay on macros. And it's been like 6 months of her on macros, and she hasn't dropped a pound. And I'm like, can we just please like let me write you a diet? Like, please, God. You know what I mean? And she finally do it, and we're down 7 pounds in 2 weeks.
So when you say macros, she was just tracking everything, but it still wasn't working. Was that because she was eating what she wanted versus what you wanted her to eat, or?
Yeah. So I was messing with her because she's vegetarian, and she was like, "Oh, I just had my first blueberry, or I just had my first raspberry," and I'm like, "You're like 24. What do you mean you just had your first blueberry? You're a vegetarian. Like, what do you eat?"
Right.
Well, like sandwiches and like some pasta. So it's like just wasn't getting enough variety. But then at the same time, I'm not a big fan of macros because it doesn't work for everyone. And I've had too many issues with people. I call it macro hoarding, where they hoard all their food till the end of the day so they can have like just this fucking huge meal.
Right.
So when I can get a hold of the food, take their macros and distribute it out the way I want it, like 99.9% of the time, they start dropping instantly. You know what I mean? They'll take their macros, but this meal will have 50% of their fats, and then this meal will be 80% of their carbs. And it's like, there's no balance. You know what I mean? They're just stacked up.
Right. Well, I always hear I always hear people say, well, that's a myth. As long as you get all what you want in one, because like a lot of people I know like to eat just like one big meal. And so you don't think that works for everybody, right?
No, I mean, let's look at it this way. Have you ever gone out to like a brunch buffet at 10 a.m.?
Right. Yeah.
Probably don't eat again the rest of the day, or it's like 7 o'clock at night.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
I'm like, you're, versus like you wake up, let's say you have some egg whites, a couple whole eggs, toast, turkey, bacon. You're not bogged down and you're hungry within it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, do it this way too. Like, I don't know if you diet or anything, but let's say I give you 80 grams of fat for the day, and you eat 40 grams of that with your first meal. Yeah, it's gonna bog you down the rest of the day, man.
Right, you're gonna be full, and it's not spread. I get what you mean. It's not spread out where you could just get a burst of energy at lunch, I get a burst of energy at 2 or at 4 or whatever.
Yeah,
you
and that's what you kind of have to take into consideration is if some of my athletes, I'll give them macros because I know they're knowledgeable and they understand how I want things, but I'll still give guidelines. Like I want this many grams of protein, carbs, and fats pre and post. But like if someone doesn't understand how to diet, it's not going to work. When I did my first show that I was embarrassed about, and I was like 195 pounds on stage and I was fat as shit. Like my first coach, gave me macros, but I didn't understand anything. So I was eating ranch and cheese for fats. I didn't know what a healthy fat was.
Right.
And maybe my fault because I didn't look into it, but like if you didn't know what it was and you have a coach, like they should be teaching you that. So it's like I'm trying to teach nutrition at the same time. So usually with people is I'll start them out on like, I call it like a verbatim diet, like eat this. And then like, once you have an understanding, then we can transfer out to macros if they want, you know what I mean? But people don't understand how to eat, then to me, it's never going to work unless you're like, there are some, I hate to use the word genetic elite, but there are some people that like,
of course
they could eat shit, or they could eat pizza, or they could eat tilapia and they're still going to have abs. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I see it all the time. I hate my friends like that. I'm like, God, fuck you, dude. You can eat whatever you want and still fucking ripped.
Yeah. So do you know who Nam Shartzer, I think is his last name? His Instagram is like Nam. He's like a world-class power lifter, and he also
I don't think so.
He almost turned pro in super heavies. So the man, like, he just posted a video the other day where he squatted like 800 pounds and it looked like bar. I mean, it was just nuts. It was so fast that the whip like almost knocked him over from the bar.
Right.
Like, so I used to live in Panama City Beach and we were training partners for like a little over a year. And don't get me wrong, like he worked so hard. So like, I'm not taking anything away from that. I remember like I weighed in and like, I was with him when we went to Chick-fil-A and like, he's eating like multiple sandwiches and fries. and he's leaner than me sitting at the table than I was like about to step on stage. Like,
Right.
and it
And
was
you're like, son
like,
of a bitch.
like tilapia, plain tilapia with not even salt, because I thought salt was bad. You
Right.
know what I mean? He's eating ice cream and he's like leaner than I am, and it's just like a fucking animal. Like he was that like he was good at literally everything he did, and but he worked hard too, which was great.
Right. Of course. Yeah, there is that especially when you look at like top athletes, like they work hard, but genetics have to play in a little, at least a little bit, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, well, I
go
mean, it's
ahead.
like the pro a couple years ago. Michael Lockett won the show, and they're like, "What'd you do different?" Oh, I didn't diet. What do you mean you didn't diet? He's like, "I tried to glute you around." So he's like, "If I wanted Olive Garden, I had Olive Garden. If I wanted this, I had that. I didn't do any cardio." And he's like, "I looked great." And then you had
Right.
Sergio Jr., who like was doing 2 hours of cardio a day and got second. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just like some people just
Yeah.
have it, man.
100%. Why do you think so? Why do you think that diet seems so complicated? And maybe it's for Americans, maybe it's for worldwide. I don't know, but do you think it really is complicated, or do you think people make it complicated, or do you think we as individuals are just so different that it has to be complicated?
I think it's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
I think people overthink it, and honestly, I think people are just, I think they're just lazy, man.
Right. Not committed.
Yeah, I hate it, but like you see the meme of, like this line is like diet and lifestyle change, and this line is like pills and surgery, and like this line's full. Like as Americans, man, we just want like the fastest, quickest. I mean, that's why that's why fast food is what it is. It's bigger, it's faster, like because we live a life on a go. Like we're like the only, we're like, even for a free nation, you know what I mean? Like we live our lives working basically around the clock. Like the more you work, the more successful you are. So people work 7 days a week, without a day off. Like they need that McDonald's or they need this. So it's like, and they don't have time, but they have time to watch Netflix for a couple hours, before bed or this or that. And, I just had to talk to my wife, man, like right before I got on this thing. And, her people at work were like, "Oh, well, you're meal prepping, you're working out, she's into like couponing." And she's like, you coupon, you take your son to the park, you guys own a gym. Like, do you ever stop? And it's like, yeah, but it's like we have things we're trying to accomplish. And it's like, you can't stop. So you have to just find ways to fit it all in.
Right. Well, and see that's one of those, like, I am in a sense where I get off work. I'm like, okay, I got to spend time with my dog. I love my dog. I go hang out with my dog. I go take it to the park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then afterwards, I'm like, okay, got to go to the gym, or I go on a podcast or do a podcast, because that's like, this is my dream. And then I'll sit down. I also want to get into comedy. I'll start writing comedy, jokes and stuff like that. And people will be like, God, your phone's always ringing. You're always like on the go. I'm like, man, like I could bitch about it, but this is kind of the life I choose. I choose to be a busy person. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like some people are happy just, I guess, being like, go to work, go to bed, watch TV. And, sometimes at one point that was my life, but I was very depressed at that point. Like it felt like shit. It felt awful. So I just know that can't be me. I have to be on the go.
Yeah. And the world needs those people. They're just like cogs in a wheel. Like we need people who are, I don't want to say complacent, but they're fine with where they're at and they don't really want to achieve any more or any less. And we need the people who want more and aren't happy. You got to have a balance of that. But the other side, it can be hard, because as having a family, I struggle with balance, and I probably work too much, and troubles putting my phone down when I'm out with my family. I'll be working still. I'll have 20 to 30 conversations a day with just different people. It's hard, so it's okay to be like that, but you have to kind of also find where your limit's at. You know what I mean?
Right, 100%. Yeah, I'm a very similar person where I like to go balls to the wall, to where and sometimes I have this problem where I get burnt out on things where I'm like,
Mhm.
I just grind every day. I do a 3 hour podcast, and I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And then for a week, I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm so burnt out. Like I need to balance it because I don't even feel like it sometimes I'm like, I don't even feel like doing it. But then I might take like a day break and then I'm back on it. Right. So
Yeah, it's hard, man. I signed up 3 people on my honeymoon. Like I was on my honeymoon and signed up clients.
was your wife
You
mad?
well, she was napping, so it wasn't
Oh,
like
okay. So there you go. Yeah.
we were supposed to go to Mexico, but of course, like coronavirus shut it down.
Right.
So we ended up this cabin in the mountains in Arkansas. So like every day she would take a nap, and then I would just sit on the patio and overlook the lake and relax. So I would do it during that time, but sometimes like little things like for her birthday this year, like I left my phone at home. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes what I have to do to like get away, I literally have to just leave my phone at home and leave the house,
Right.
or else
That's
it's not gonna.
that's incredible. Arkansas is beautiful. I
Oh,
do similar
I,
things.
I loved it.
Yeah, Arkansas. I actually, funny enough, it's funny. I have a health person on, right? And I never had Whataburger, so I drove down to Arkansas with my buddy just to eat Whataburger, and I was like, I mean, it's good, but it's like I don't know.
I think it's overrated. It's so expensive. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like cheap, but holy shit, it's
Well,
expensive.
I eat like a fat ass, but like meaning because I like to eat a lot of like big
Yeah.
portions.
Oh, I'm the same way.
Right. So like when I went down there, I went to these 3 fat dudes. I was like, they know what they're talking about. So I went over there and I said, hey, like what's because I want to get like the classic burger, but maybe I want to get something else. So I asked them like, hey, what's there? And they're like throwing out this like over the top, nasty, like newest fast food that they came out with, like on the menu. I'm like, dude, I just want something a little bit regular, but a little maybe a little different. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got a patty melt as well as a burger, and it was to me it was disgusting, but the burger was pretty
I
good. I
I
like the fries.
I get like a triple meat Whataburger,
Uh huh.
and then you do it. It's like a $10 burger. I mean, it's insane. And
Right.
that's
Right.
that's just a sandwich. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's ridiculous. I hate stuff like that. I personally like Five Guys, honestly.
Yeah, I like Five Guys, dude. I have such a weak stomach now. It's like I used to eat anything and everything and be
Hmm.
fine, and now, like I have one bit of grease and I'm dying. Yeah, it's
Right.
like
Right.
the next day like 6 times. It's insane.
I try to take breaks with eat because I here's with me and another question about dieting is so when you say there's a balance, but like what if you feel like you're like for example like us we're big eaters. Would you tell like your client like hey so then eat 3 decent sized meals a day or maybe 2 decent sized meals a day, or would you still have them like no break it up in like the 6 meal type thing every or eat every
Um,
2 hours type thing?
so oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. So for
You're good.
basic, like kind of depends on their life, man. And that's why I had to like get a look into their life.
Right.
So I have right now, she's only on 3 meals a day. But you
Hmm.
know what? When she started, she was only eating once a day. So that's quite a big improvement for her. 6 meals for majority of people is too much. They just can't fit it in.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
difficult to me.
yeah, unless you're like a competitor. Um, my competitors sometimes we get 6 meals. Even then, I may move them to 5. If their schedule allows, I'll get a 6th one in. Majority of the time, I do like 4 meals with people,
Mhm.
um, and that seems to work. And then with like myself, I do 6, but they're like 6. I mean, full size meals. You know
Really.
what I mean? And not everyone can handle that. It's kind of like a stepping stone.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's hard. I don't like the 2 hours. I like to spread it out to like 2.5 to 3. Um, but that's also hard because it's, if you sleep in, you're kind of screwed. And that's
Right.
another that you have to kind of stay on schedule even when you're not working. You know what I mean?
Right.
Get up at a time. You can't sleep until noon. Um, but yeah, I think majority of people, I think 3 to 4 meals is sufficient, maybe 5.
Hmm.
And then I give all my clients a cheat meal a week. So, I try to get them to make it a date night. If they have a
Hmm.
significant, make it a special time, go out, have dinner. That's what we do here. We have a cheat meal and that's like our family dinner night or that's
Hmm.
date night, whatever it may be, make an occasion out of it. Like this week, I made homemade spaghetti. And we had homemade spaghetti and we watched like the new Tom and Jerry movie,
Yeah.
me and my wife and son. And it was enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Right.
Week, her mom, like next week, her mom gets back in town. She's been out of town for like 6 weeks, and we'll have a big cookout, and we'll do it for that. You know what I mean? Like, and then also it's like, I'm big on like not cheating blindly. And what I mean by that is don't just have a cheat meal to have a cheat meal. Like make it have some purpose. So I like to schedule like what night do you like to have a cheat meal on? Night? Do you have a specific night you like to have a cheat meal?
Probably Saturdays, but now that I work on Sundays, it's definitely Friday is the night that I like to have a cheat meal.
Friday, so Saturday, majority of people from a physique standpoint, their weak body parts are going to be like a back or a leg or, whatever it may be. Like I like to schedule a week the next day to have like a little bit of extra nutrients and like put it to work. You know what I mean? Don't just, I hate when people just like have a cheat meal and then they don't do anything the next day. And I'm like, ugh.
Right.
Like
I would be honest, if I eat like shit the day before, I feel like I actually have a pretty good workout because I have so many calories and like just fucking I'm like carved up. You know what I mean? I'm like, God damn, I have so much energy, me and my trainer actually one time we had this thing where we were just gonna like get together while we worked out and ate, and he had like deer meat and all these treats and shit like that. But we did the mistake because it's the first time we did it. We did the mistake by eating. We used to eat after. We used to do it always like work out to eat after, but we ate before and tried to work out. And oh my God, I was so like fucking done. I was just like, dude, I'm going to puke. I got to leave. Like, I think this was great, but I got to puke.
Or like I did it. Oh man, was it like 2 weeks ago? I knew I was going to have to do that and I didn't have time to get multiple meals in. We went out to breakfast. So it was first watch, so it's not like it was horrible, but I ate like extra, like I guess what you consider like half. And then I just waited like 3.5 hours and then I went to train. And it was a little, like if you just eat and then go train right away, like you're going to be, you're screwed.
Right. So, for cheat meals, I feel like it's such a misconception of people like to have cheat days instead of cheat meals. What do you think about that?
When's my cheat day? You mean your cheat meal?
Right.
What do you mean?
Right.
And that's what people don't get is that unless you're like one of those special people, like, or you're really deep in a contest prep where like nothing's really going to bother you. It's like, you can't that one day will undo your whole week. And it's like, because it's not just that one day, it's going to affect the next day. You know what I mean?
You binge for sure.
If you binge all day, I guarantee when you wake up the next day, your blood sugar is going to be sky high. Your digestion is going to be backed up. So it's like, and it's hard for people because I was there. And like when I first started, like my cheat meals they were binges. And like, I wouldn't stop. I thought I was going to vomit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And now it's like, you just kind of have to eat till you're full and not anymore. And, I still do it every now and then, not binge, but I'm like, like a month ago we did it. And I don't know why we're big spaghetti people. Spaghetti or like homemade pizza.
Oh, spaghetti's awesome.
Oh man, my wife's addicted to it. So I'll make that, or I'll make homemade pizza, or we'll grill burgers. I think that night we did burgers, and I was like, "Oh, you guys want some ice cream?" I'm like, "Let's go to Dairy Queen." So we went to Dairy Queen. I got a medium cone, which was astronomically big for a medium. I don't understand why.
Right. And, yeah, it is. The sizes are ridiculous now. When I say medium, I get something. I'm like, what's the fucking large look like?
And the cone's the best part. So you're going to keep eating it. And I finished it and I was like, I feel awful. And like, it was just too much. And it was like, I laid down in bed to go to sleep and I felt like I was being crushed by my own body. Like I felt awful. I couldn't get comfortable.
Your food's like up to here.
He like touched me and I was like, no, get away.
Yeah, you don't want to be touched if you lay down. I've had that where I'm like, Jesus Christ, is this like what just like really like 1,000-pound sisters feel like all the time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just it's incredible to think of. That also leads me to my next question. And this might be an uncomfortable question, but if my buddy, for example, he comes in the door, and I haven't seen him in a year, and he is like 300 pounds, 5'8", just fucking huge, man. Looks awful, you know. I'm gonna be a real friend, and I'm gonna tell him like, hey, what's going on in your life that's like making you like this? And I'm gonna try my hardest to say, dude, you need to lose some weight or get, you know. And some people will think that's like fat shaming, you know. So what do you think about like fat shaming to that definition? You know what I mean? To that extent.
Uh, so like from your friends or just like people in general?
Mm, I would say from my friends. Let's go there.
I mean, from your friends, I think that's just being, it's just being a good friend.
Right.
I had that happen, man. I went to North Carolina in October for my buddy's wedding, and he called me about 4 months prior to that, and he was like, "Hey, man, we're doing this keto thing. We're trying to lose some weight." I said, "Good, dude," because I saw your picture, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Right.
He was like, "I know." I was like, "Yeah, you had a moon face, man. Like, you got
Right.
to get that."
And people think you're being a dick, but it's like, no, I would want them to say that to me. You know what
Yeah,
I
well,
mean? To motivate you.
it's like, and you gotta, how you say, like how I just said that. It sounds
Mhm.
harsh, but it's like that's our friendship.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
You,
we're
you,
we love
you
each
got to
other.
get on their frequency. But if you have a client that is like incredibly overweight, how do you approach that? To like, maybe you don't want to offend them, but at the same time, you want to be real with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just depends on the client. It depends on how they are. Like, I had one client come back from quarantine, and I was like, "Dude, what happened? Like, you look
Hmm.
like you pounds." Yeah, I did not eat well. He's like, "We need to get this off." I'm like, "Yeah." But some people you gotta really kind of be a dick to, man. And
Hmm.
at hate doing it, but like I always tell people, like, you don't pay me to necessarily be nice.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's a fine line. So like I had one girl, and she was doing iced coffees every day.
Hmm.
Iced coffee. These like frappuccino, mocha, latte, whatever they are.
Putting all the
You know,
extra shit in them. Yeah.
and I was like, well, let's cut that down to like once a week. And, you can like have that like on test day or whatever it may be, like, so you'll have like your routine. Or she's like, well, I have to have those. That's part of, that's just a habit I have, that I need to have that. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, your habits are what made you come to me because you're unhappy with the way you look.
Hmm.
So I kind of had to change your habits. And if you don't want to change them, like, why are you here? Like, that's kind of the whole reason.
Right.
Uh, and it's, I've had the uncomfortable talk of especially with my men, with sexual performance,
Hmm.
uh, high blood pressure, um, heart disease, like, you know what I mean? And it comes from all angles. You kind of have to find, and that's another thing I do when people come to me. I ask them why, like, why, what are your goals? And then they'll tell me your
Right.
goals. Why? Well, because that's what I want. No, you don't. There's a reason. You didn't just come to me
Hmm.
because you up and you were like, I want to lose weight.
Hmm.
You can't, because you're just miserable with the way you look and you're depressed. You came
Hmm.
to me because you haven't seen your genitals in a couple years. You came to me
Right.
because your body weight is starting to affect your love life with your spouse. You came to me because you can't play with your kids.
Hmm.
Um, I've played the kid card. Like, do you want to play with your kids? Like, are you tired of like not being
Hmm.
able to do anything with kids? Like, because at this point you can't. Like, you can't even walk in here without being out of breath. Like, how are you going to play with your kids?
Hmm.
And it's like
Right.
sometimes you kind of that card, and it's not to be mean. It's because you care, but you have to find their care. You have to
Right.
find
Right.
why, and kind of exploit their why. I don't
Right.
want to say that may be a harsh term, but like, I
No,
don't
I
know.
know exactly what you mean.
Like,
You want to see them do well. I mean, when I was training with my trainer, this kid came in, and I know he didn't really have a good home life. He was from the inner city, and someone else brought him in that was working out with us, and he was like incredibly overweight, but like he's a sweet kid. And like I remember my trainer kind of had that talk with him, like, "Hey man, are you happy the way you are?" And he kind of didn't understand. Like he's like, and he was a younger kid, but he's like, I mean, yeah. He's like, no, you're not. There's no way. Like, are you
No.
like you're out of breath when you're walking in here? He's like, I'm not trying to be mean to you. It's just I don't want to see you die at a young age because I mean it was bad. It was incredibly, and he stayed for about a month or two, and he lost a decent amount of weight, but just like, and he loved football, wanted to do football. He was a built kid. Even though he was fat, he still was built.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that are just fat. They're just fat. They don't really have a built to them. This kid actually
Yeah.
had a built to him. And that just like when I saw him leave, I was like, it kind of like it hit me in the heart a little bit because I was like, shit, man. Like I wanted to see that kid progress. I wanted to see him get stronger. I wanted to see him lose that weight and be happier because like you just see it on his face, just real miserable. Like not never a smile or anything like that. Real quiet. You could tell he wasn't confident, and it's just it's harsh to see. You want to see, want them to do better, but and I know like you don't always want to blame their what's going on at home. I know something was going on at home and affected that. He was just a kid, but I wish he wanted it as much as like the people down there did.
Yeah, man, it's hard, especially with kids, man. It's they didn't get in the position alone, and it's like
Right.
was it a family issue? Is it a parent issue? Sometimes the parents don't. I don't. It's hard to say, but they sometimes they just don't care, man. Like some
Right.
parents just don't care about kids, and like they're fine that they're fat, and they don't really understand that they're happy and they're miserable, and they get made fun of, and
Mm-hmm.
14 and 13-year-old, they shouldn't have chronic knee pain and chronic back pain because they're so obese.
Right.
And that's the world we live in, man, with these these fast meals and our single-use plastics, and we're just exposed to so many xenoestrogens and things like that. And these kids these days that are 9 and they have breasts, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
it's from all the stuff in our drinking water and our food and our freaking bottled water, you know what I mean? Our Ziploc containers. It's everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes the parents just don't care. And I had a kid sign up and he fell off. He was only with me for like 3 sessions, and his mom's brought him in, and he was under the impression that the whole family was coming. And I was like, do you even want to be here? Well, yeah. And then like every time I asked him a question, he would look at his mom. I'm like, dude, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
asking you the question. Like,
Right.
do you need to leave? Like, can you not talk to me? And sometimes those kids, they'll get beat down at home. Oh, you're fat. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard, because I mean, they may say it jokingly or they may mean it, but that
Mm-hmm.
shit gets, and, especially in today's world, I'm not anti-bully because like, sounds bad.
I'm
I think bullying builds character.
100%.
But to a certain extent, but also I know that no matter what, we'll never get rid of bullying. It'll never stop.
Right.
So we need to teach our kids how to deal with certain things and
Mm-hmm.
certain life experiences, and teach them that life is hard and life's not always fair. Um, but at the same time, like the things that kids these days have to deal with that we didn't have to deal with is that like social media, and when
100%.
I was getting
Yeah.
bullied, for being fat or whatever, because like I was a small school and I was like one of the fatter kids in the school.
Right.
And
Same.
when I home, you got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And now Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok,
Right.
Facebook. I don't know. I'm sure there's more stuff out there I'm missing, but it's like they can't get away from it. It's just a
Right.
constant beratement of getting bullied for being fat, and
Right.
that's what you're gonna get made fun of for being fat. Like we had a kid sign up the other day. He got bullied because he was tall.
Right.
What the fuck? This
Right.
kid's like 4 and he's like 17. He's bullied because he's tall. Like these kids, I mean, it's ridiculous.
I
You know
say
what I mean?
when you were tall, you got bitches back in my day. I mean, that just
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
He quit the basketball team because he was the tallest one on there, and he got made fun of for being like too
What?
tall.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and it's like, yeah, man. So it's like, we have to teach our kids these things, and we maybe get off on a tangent here, but
No, you're fine.
This is where like me and my wife, we differ. She's more of like I call her the helicopter mom, and she's great. She's an amazing mom. But then sometimes I'm like, hey, like beat his ass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pop him, not
Right.
hit him, but he
Right.
needs to learn.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like now it's just people just get given everything, and then they don't and that when they get into real life and they get kicked in the face, that they're like, well, what do I do
Right.
now? I got kicked in the face. I guess I might as well stay down and do nothing about it.
Right. Well,
You know?
100%. No, you're correct on that. Like, don't get me wrong. I would never want my kids to be a bully, but like, and I don't have kids, so I can't speak for this, but like, dude, my stepdad back today used to just beat the shit out of me. Like, I mean, and that built me to who I am today. You know what I mean? The biggest characters I know, funny, smart, whatever, they had a fucked up childhood, or they had just something that built them character, some rough time. They were either poor or struggled. And you're right. Like, it's like hard times build character. And when I used to work with like super rich kids, there were some, because they had some tough lives, but there are some kids that like it was like talking to like just a piece of paper. Like, it didn't make, like, they had no personality, no character, nothing. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? And those same kids, and I hate to say it, those same kids would like talk about their depression and all this. And I know depression's real and stuff like that, but dude, and they were talking about how their school, it was one of the richer schools, like Blue Valley or something like that. I don't know. But they were talking about how like suicide just like huge there, like a bunch of kids are killing themselves and stuff like that. It just like amazed me, because I went to Shawnee Mission North, which most kids there are like lower middle class or middle class, like no one's rich, you know what I mean? And a lot of kids in my class were from the inner city, and then they just use someone's address, you know what I mean? So to
Yeah.
me, I was like, no one's killing themselves at my school. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not common for us. So it was just crazy that like the differences. And like I said, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's because kids in my school were experiencing some hardship and they're a little bit tougher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My dad didn't beat me by any means, but I got whooped like on the daily.
Right, 100%.
Probably literally up until like second grade, and then something clicked
Mm-hmm.
to me and I started getting spanked. And I stopped getting in trouble. But if I didn't have that, like, what type of person would I be? Would I still be getting in trouble all the time?
Right.
Um, and it's like, you had those memories burning your mind. When I came home from a birthday party that was an overnight in third grade, and my chest was covered in bruises from like titty twisters, you know what I
Right.
mean? From kids that I was staying with who were supposed to be my friends. It's like, I could have like given up, or when I got made fun of because I had jacked up teeth, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's like, keep going. And my my dad and my mom, they kind of taught me not how to deal with it, but like, you kind of got to be like headstrong a little bit. And like, my little boy, he's my world, man. Like, I almost makes me cry, but like, I look at him and I'm like, the thought of someone like being mean to him, like, just enrages
Right.
me.
Right. I
uh
bet. Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, you're fine, dude.
Um but I had to teach him like how to deal with that bullshit, you know what I mean? And you
Right.
have to have all that, and you have to stick through it. And it's, it kind of goes into fitness, you know what I mean? It's like, I think that's why I'm so hard-headed, and that's why I am where I am, um, with not giving up. Is, I had to restart my personal training business 3 times.
Right.
um, and I was just hard-headed. I wouldn't stop. And there was one point where, like, even my family was like, what are you doing? And I was like, this
Right.
this is what I'm doing. And I remember one day I like literally was like, I was like crying, like had my head like,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife like picked me up, and she was like, we have to do this.
Right.
I was like, all right, let's go. And like, and you just have to keep going, man. Life's hard, and it's like,
Right.
whether it's fit work or just life's bullshit, like, you can't stop.
Right. Yeah. Life will kick you in the nuts harder than anything. But
God, and
I,
multiple times, and not.
right, right. It's like this shit doesn't end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I see your character, man, and I see how you're getting emotional about talking about your son and stuff like that, because you don't want him to go through like what you went through. But it's awesome to see this, like the type of person that you are. It gets me fired up, because it's like I see a person who's been through a lot of shit. You're telling me about getting bullied and especially by your friends, man. now I'm looking at a person who owns his own gym and is motivating people and is getting people through those hard times. And it's like you almost want to thank those hard times because it became the person you are.
Oh, dude, 100%. I wouldn't change anything. I've learned a lot of life lessons, and we, God, we just scratched the surface of my past. You know what I mean? Of things that like kind of
Right.
made me the person I am, or scarred me with certain things. And then part of it is like you have to move on and you have to face life, and and part of building your character is finding someone to build your character with. You know what I mean? And not settling just for anything, and finding someone that will pick you up and when you need it the most. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes my family's been great, but sometimes you need something a little extra. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that's where a great spouse can come in. um I try to preach to my people, it's like it's not just you in your life. There's more to life than just you, but you need to find the people that make it worthwhile. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Yeah, 100%. You got to have good people around you. Sounds like you have a great family, man, and a good wife that holds you up. I mean, that's incredible. I know
Well,
a lot of dudes who are not in a good situation, and you could see it, you know.
hey, I've been through some shitty ones. You know what I'm saying? It's when I was 18, I was told I was having a baby, and you
Hmm.
know, long story short, that's who I lost my virginity to, and she had cheated on me, and it wasn't even
Right.
mine. You know what I mean? That
Right.
was my entire year. So
Good
I've gone through that,
Lord.
to being cheated on, to this, to that, to, I mean, just anything and everything, man. And it's like and then like now, like my parents and my sister are awesome. My mother-in-law and her side of the family, they're great. You know what I mean? It's like I
Right.
really am blessed. I have a great support cast, like from all aspects, even down to my clients and you know my friends now. I'm very blessed that I have probably 3 to 4 people who I can really truly call like great friends, and they're not even local. And if I needed something, a
Right.
plane right away if they needed, or if I
Right.
needed.
Yeah, that's all that matters. I love how you know this is one thing that I don't think people have anymore, and it's taking like a bad situation and just not letting it fuck up your whole day, or not letting it like stick in your craw for that long. Just you got it, like you said, you got to move on. When something bad happens to me during the day, like I tell myself, well, fuck, I might as well embrace it, because what else am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like I have
Yeah.
no fucking control over it. I wrecked my car last week. I had to get it towed. I had to use my
Bro, I
savings.
do.
Yeah, was it in the storm?
No, it just died. I was
Oh
I'll
God.
get up. It was like 9:30 at night, and it just died. It had a cracked piston, and I had needed a brand new motor.
Cars are pieces of shit, man.
Yeah,
I'm so fucking sick of buying shit and then it just fucks up on me. Like it's crazy. And I try to get like the best deal and everything, but I'm a cheap son of a bitch. Maybe that's probably part of the reason. But
it
I
happens.
Right. Yeah, car trouble happens. But like, what? I used to work on cars as a kid, and I don't know a single thing about working on cars because I hated the person who taught me. So, but I guess I know my way around a little bit. But I recently got a Honda CRV, and I wrecked my
Nice.
Infinity during the store. So hopefully this thing will last me long. But like I said, I had to use my savings. I plan on going to Austin in May. I had to use that to buy my car, and it's like set me back. But it's like, hey, dude, you now I just got to work more hours. You know what I mean? You've been slacking. You might as well just go. You got to go harder. I mean, that's the only
Yeah,
thing. Like, I got to look at it as like maybe it was something for a reason. You know what I mean?
yeah. It happens, and I joke that like my big goal this year was to get a Tundra, and then my car broke down, and now I got a new Tundra.
Mm-hmm.
So mad about it, but yeah, man, that's how it is. And I'm not special. Like I have things that affect me. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like when my car broke down, or when we tried to get this gym open, man. Like oh god, it was probably like one of the worst months of my life. I mean, it
Really.
was it was hard. A lot of personal battles, uh, and I was like having a meltdown one day, and uh, someone who's close to me just told me like, dude, I always I was damn it, one sec. Sorry,
You're
my low
good.
power.
You're good.
He's like, oh, you've always been so stoked, you know, the things bother you. And I was like, you know what? Like, I need to kind of get out of this funk.
Right.
Because it's like, it was in the rear view mirror, but it was still bothering me. And I didn't just stop caring. But I had to let it stop just affecting me every day to where I didn't want to do anything because it was like that. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah, that's well, that's incredible. You had someone to kind of remind you like who the fuck you are. You know what I mean? And when you pull yourself by your bootstraps and realize who the fuck you are, you're like, dude, people are depending on me. I have to fucking like either nut up or shut up and do this. And yeah, it's gonna affect you, and that's like the hardest month. But then like once you get over that hump, like that's you just gotta just get over that hump, and then fucking there you go from there.
Yeah, I mean, it was. You know, I always say that like for my relationship, I'm definitely like the emotional backbone. Um, you know, and during that month of that I took off work to open the gym, um, you know, my wife had surprised me that we were going to be expecting our second child, and a week found out she was miscarrying, but not just miscarrying, but like the baby was still alive, but um, there's nothing they could do to save it. And then we found out that she had caught COVID. And then not too long after that, of course, I caught COVID. I was negative at the time, and you know, so we didn't tell our family that about the miscarriage yet because we had just told them like a couple of days prior that we were expecting.
Right.
So it was like going to the gym and working on the gym, and at the same time, like, you know, with her being sick, she was at home, and so I was like, I had a 3-year-old with me, you know, trying to do construction and move equipment and clean, you know, do all this bullshit. And I was still driving to pick up equipment. And then, you know, I tested positive the day before the gym opened. You know what I mean? I missed an opening of the gym, you know what I mean? Or the
Right.
opening day. It was just, yeah, it was a brutal month, man. And I was just like not in a good mental mindset. And I just had to have a couple of people just kind of like remind me. And, you know, and that's what it takes to be a good friend. You know what I mean? You got to kind of like call your friends on their shit.
Right.
And I don't want to say shit because like it was well, so I, you know, I could have thrown a pity party, but at the end of the day, like, you know, my family depends on me. We depend on each other. But I needed to kind of pick it up, and, you know, we needed to band together and get the shit rolling. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Incredible. So did you open this, and forgive me if you've already said this, but did you open up before COVID and then shut down and then open up again, or did you open up
No,
after COVID?
we've only been open 2 months.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, December 18th.
What a great time to open a gym, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
started driving equipment during shutdown. So I started driving, God, April. Yeah, like April to pick up equipment. And it's kind of funny how it started. You know, my wife was like, oh, yeah, if you want to start buying equipment, you can buy equipment. Because we had planned to buy a house. And then within the first week, I bought like 3 pieces. And she was like, all right, well, let's slow down. I was like, oh, well, I bought this other one because it was a great deal, you know. And then I buy that one. I'm like, okay, well, I found this other one that I really want. It's a great deal because it really was.
Right.
Like, I didn't pay for anything. But, you know, some of these pieces I was driving like, dude, like 16 hours round trip. I mean, it was brutal.
Right.
I was like 2 a.m. on Saturdays and leaving the house to try to make sure I could spend time with my family. And then, you know, we fell into this retail spot, and we were like, all right, well, I guess we're not going to buy a house this year. We'll do this instead. And we got open the 18th, man. And it was crazy. We're crushing it. Well, yeah, we're crushing it for longer than we've been open. You know what I mean? I think we're
100%.
almost,
Yeah, I've heard your guys' name like a million times, and I'm
yeah.
like, I gotta talk. And then I was following you on Instagram, and I was like, well, shit, this is the guy who owns Body Shop Fitness. I was like, I gotta talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Which is it's incredible.
Yeah, man, we're up to like I think we're like 90 members.
Nice.
We have 4 trainers. You know, we haven't been open 3 months, so we're averaging over you know, a membership a day. You know, we're very blessed that we have such a great following and great members. I think it helps that I've been able to like build a decent reputation for myself around the Kansas City area. You know, there's always people that don't like you, and there are plenty of people that don't like me, and that's fine. You know, I'm not a cup of tea, but it's not, they don't like me because I screwed them over. You know what I'm saying? and some of it may be intimidating because, some of the people that I met 4 years ago, they meet this younger guy and he has one client and then now he has a gym.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Him and his
Right.
wife gym, and now it's like, oh shit, like what are they doing? Like that's not okay.
Right.
And I have a great relationship with S2. Supplement Superstores does a lot for us as well.
Mhm.
And I have, man, we're just blessed, man. We have such a great support group, just with training, with the gym, and we're surrounded with people that want to see us win as much as
Right.
we want them win. And I think that's where it really takes off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's incredible. Like I said, I could tell. I've heard your name a million times. Matter of fact, when I was 16, I was like, I want to open a gym called the Body Shop. And I heard about it. And I was like, that son of a bitch took my idea. I was like, but
That's funny. So forever I wanted to open a gym when we started thinking about it like 4 years ago.
right.
I want to call it like a Olympus, like Olympus.
Olympus.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, that's our name. And then as soon as we started like getting equipment and we signed a lease and they're like, what's your name? And I said it and I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, OGKC. I'm like, God, that's like almost the exact same name. I was like, I can't do that.
Right.
So I was like, maybe what are we going to name this place?
Right.
I don't want to name it Blank Slate Fitness because we want to create like another brand.
Right.
We had like a list of like 100 names. I think, I don't even remember what she wanted.
So when did Body Shop come up?
Oh, the very end, man. I was into like Apex Gym and different things like that, and then I thought about like Muscle Factory, and then Muscle Shop, and I was like, oh, that sounds stupid.
Right.
Like, Body Shop. I was like, oh, I like Body Shop. Like,
yeah.
Oh, you need a tune up? Just take your body to the shop.
Yeah.
We asked, some people closest to us how they liked it, and they liked it. And we just kind of came, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good name. It's cool. I remember my buddy we and my buddy were talking, and that I remember that came up because I told him I wanted to open a gym, and he's like, "You just go to the Body Shop, man. Get it tuned up." Like basically what you said. I was like, that's hilarious.
It's great, and we added we like gym, but it was hard because we wanted to come up with a name that like it said what we were about, but it wasn't like hardcore. You know what I mean? I never really wanted a hardcore gym. Even now, like, because we added the and personal training because we do specialize in personal training, but we're a full service gym. I think we have almost more regular members than we do PT members. We have different, if you're a PT client, you get a discounted membership rate. And even now it's like, we're kind of broy a little bit because we just, and the people that had really signed up are people that follow me or kind of do some of the things I do.
Right.
And, I'm always going to attract meatheads. I'm a meathead, but like my meatheads aren't douchebags.
Right.
I pride myself on being I am kind of douchey, but like to myself.
Okay. There's a difference between looking, dude, because especially when I was a lot bigger, people always thought I was a douchebag till they meet you, and then they're like, "Oh no, you're a good guy," versus a clear douchebag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, like there are gyms all across America, man, and they're like, fucking resolutioners. I can't wait till these fucks are out of here. And it's like, I like resolution, and like that could be the next person. We could save their like, I got one of my good friends, he's a very good bodybuilder and he's a big dude and he looks intimidating. But he's super nice. And, and first thing we do is that when we get normal people who are intimidated, we introduce you to other members. Right. And we introduce you to those meatheads because those meatheads, like, if you have a question, ask them. They're gonna be like, yeah, what's up? I can help you. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like, get out. Like, yeah, welcome. Like, we can all get. It's okay. Like,
so why did you not want a hardcore gym? Was it like you said, the douchebag thing, or was there other elements to it?
Well, at the end of the day, man, when it comes to a business standpoint, it's such a small market of like true gallon juggers, tore up sweatpant people that, you know what I mean? And And so you got to kind of appeal to everyone. Because that's what business is, man. You know, there's going to be, of course, like there will be people that will not like us, and that's okay. But I also want a place where like we can all mesh. You know what I mean? Like since I've been a personal trainer, I've met so many people who like have such a stigma about bodybuilding. And like once they meet me and they learn so much about the sport, like they become a fan of the sport. And that's what I want. I want to create a different stigma. Like just because we have big muscles and we train like, you know, and we scream and this, and like you think we're gonna kill someone, like we just like to train hard, man. This is just our therapy. You know what I mean?
Right, 100%. When did you get into bodybuilding?
Oh man, probably like seriously, probably 2013 ish. Yeah. And then I took it seriously, but I was still like drinking and binging on the weekends, like Waffle House. I lived in Panama City Beach, so like, you know, I was at Coyote Uglies every weekend or this or that. You know, we would go to Beta. I was the manager at Beta, but for some reason I had like every Saturday off. So I would go there to my job at like 11 a.m. and we would drink beer and we would watch the 11 a.m. college football games, because down there college football is king. So like 10 o'clock, man. You know, and that's just what we did. So like I didn't really get serious until probably like 4 years ago. But I did powerlifting before that. And then my buddy Frank, he got me into bodybuilding, and like once I started seeing my body kind of change, oh man, I just got hooked, dude. And I don't know stop. Like I'm just into it. Like eating on a plan, like it gives me like a sense of calmness, especially when I'm busy. Training is like therapy. I look forward to it. But also it's like, I just like to push the limits. I don't like just going through life without doing something. I need to push myself physically somehow, some way. You know? And it may not always be, but it's just what I like to do. If I don't do it, I'd be unhappy.
Well, you're a bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I like to push the limits, but I'm not. The biggest thing for me is like diet. I've always struggled with it. I've always struggled with keeping my ground. Like, you know, I like my sweets. I like to cheat a lot, but there are definitely time periods where I will lose. Like, I will stick to a diet or stick to just be super strict for months, and I'll see my results. And then I'll like you said, I'll want to binge on the weekends or want to start that up again. But then once I start that up, it's like, dude, I can't stop. But then once I stop, it feels so much better. And you feel, like you said, you have that sense of like, almost like a sense of clarity, like through the day. Like I used to fast a lot, and it really wasn't even to lose weight. I liked the idea of putting my body through that. You know what I mean? I don't, people may think that's weird. And like, yeah, obviously it like at first when I was like, first started it, I was like, oh, I might want to lose weight. I heard about intermittent fasting. I want to try this. But then I just kind of did it to where I was like, man, I actually like, it's not like I was wanting to lose weight and I was like trying to be unhealthy about it. I just wanted to like see like how far I could take my body. Like I wanted to see the pain, see if I could work out through it. And a lot of times when I used to fast all the time, for some weird reason, I would actually lift more when I was fasting. Like I would push up more weight. How do you feel about fasting?
It has its point, man. You know, I mean, I think some people like they read too far into it. Sometimes I used to do a 20-hour fast once a week for like 6 months to like help clear my GI once a week. Even now, man, like if it's an off day, like let's say it's like a Friday and I'm off work, and Friday, like me and my wife, we have one day off work together, and like of course it's like an errand day, so it'll just be go. Well, it's like, you know, our son will wake us up at like 7 a.m. and we're trying to get him around and everything. Chiropractor's appointments, grocery shopping, this and that, but we always have lunch together, unless I'm dieting for a show. And it's like, so I'll fast, you know, I'll get my meal in and I'll try to get a 15-hour fast in, you know what I mean, and break it with that. Nice, because if you're so busy, it can have that clarity effect and you're not worried about getting food in. And so I think it can be very helpful, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, and that's another thing with like my day-to-day life of working and stuff like that, I wake up, I get ready. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I really don't even like feel or want to eat. I just would rather just like fast, you know,
Yeah.
and that helped me for a long run. Actually, weirdly, the strongest I was, because I was a pretty big dude in high school. Because I had my own trainer and I ate pretty strict, but I fasted a lot. And for some reason that fasting actually like I said, it actually helped me like get bigger lifts and actually gain some. It seemed like I was gaining some lean muscle from it, which probably had more to do with me lifting than it was fasting. But you know,
Well, and if you look at it, like some of the research I've done on it, like if you fast for a certain amount of time, like your body stops using food to recover and starts tapping into growth hormone and IGF and
right.
recover itself. And then, also it's like if my wife's trying to get the dogs to get out of the bedroom.
I got you.
If you're fasting, your glucose levels are probably lower, so your body's probably accepting the food better, which means your body's using it better. So I mean, it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why it was like to reset my digestive system when I was like punishing food week after week, and to like help keep my blood sugar in check. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure. It feels like a little reset button almost. How do you feel about like overtraining? Like people always say this, like overtraining, but then you got guys like, and like I said, I'm feeding into the internet a little bit, but you got guys like CT Fletcher. You got guys like even my trainer when I train with him, and I know you're saying this with guys, you could really beat them into the ground, we'll get back up. We would train like 3 hours, balls to the wall, hitting every muscle, fucking full body, just going crazy every day. And so to me, when people said overtraining, I looked at them like I don't know if that's a real thing. Now, maybe for bodybuilding, it's a little bit different. What do you feel about it, like the term overtraining?
I think it's individual, man. I have friends that can train 7 days a week and they're fine. Personally, I can't. I train more than like 2 to 3 days and I just need a break. Like I'm just run down. I'm tired. My CNS is just fried. I almost feel hungover. You know what I mean?
Really?
But then again, you have to look at the style of training that people do. So, are they just like, are they just doing 4 sets of 10 on everything and going through the motions? You know what I mean? You'll see those people at the gym and they train their whole body every day, but like nothing's ever hard and they're in there every day, but they're fine. And they're probably bigger than most bodybuilders. You know what I mean? They're just little freaks. Or, you know what I mean? Are you pushing the limits and pushing your boundaries? Like yesterday, me and my training partner, we trained legs. And so we would work up to do I think we did 8 total sets throughout the day, but they were like balls out failure sets. So
right
on the hack squat, you know what I mean? When we were done, he literally the last 3 reps, almost crushed me and he was helping me up. So it was I fell hack squat machine. You know what I mean?
Do you take a lot of rest time in between those 8 sets?
Yeah, it's all dependent, but I don't like to set parameters on rest times. I think again, it's an individual response. How in shape are you? And when I say that, do you do some cardio here and there? Do you not do cardio? What lift is it? Is it a bicep curl? Is it a squat? There's so many things that play into it. So I like to rest until I just feel ready. I'm not, my breathing's on 100%, but I'm not dying at the same time. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've had that problem with some workout. I finally found a good workout partner because we have the same kind of outlook on lifting, the same kind of mindset, and I always think that's good. Our body types are too different. I mean, I'm 5'8", real wide guy, real stocky, and he's tall. He's like 6'3". But regardless, we both push each other. Like Franco and Arnold, right? So, yeah. So what I like about it though is I've had guys before him, they do like what you said. It's 4 sets, 10 reps. I'm like, dude, are we going to change the weight? Are we gonna
Yeah.
go up in reps? Like, are we gonna go do more sets? Like, are we gonna go to failure at all? Like, can we do something? Like, and especially, I've never really followed like a specific program because, and like I said, I don't know everything, and obviously I don't know as much as like you or like Aaron Sawyer or like my trainer, but like I've been around it so much, like with my dad bodybuilding, with having my own personal trainer, like I get a good idea of like, okay, how I want to go in and hit the gym that day,
Mhm.
right? So when I go in and I'm like pushing people who want to work out with me, or I want to work out with them, it gets irritating when, like I said, there's just these days that like I said, they do like these 4 sets of 10, same weight. I'm like, what? How are we getting better if we're just going through the
Yeah.
motions, not pushing? You know what I mean? And like, you might get a pump, you might look good for the date you're gonna go on, but like, I'm not gonna grow. You know what I mean? And I've had
Yeah.
buddies like that; they don't grow, and I'm like, dude, you don't push yourself. You know?
Yeah. And that's where you have to have a good training partner that will hold you accountable. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't both bring the energy every day. Sometimes one's picking up the slack, versus
Mm-hmm.
the other. Or, both maybe, and you have to be in tune, like we had a insane push day and an insane back day on Monday
Mm-hmm.
and Tuesday. And then we're going to train arms Wednesday because we train 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we started getting warmed up for arms Wednesday. And before he even got there, I was like, dude, I almost texted you and said to come tomorrow because I felt awful. And he's like, dude, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like shit too. And like we both just felt run down. And I coach him too, so that makes it easier as well to kind of make the call here and there. But we were like warming up, and I was like, I can't feel this. Like, my elbows are like fucking on fire right now. Like, I can't feel my triceps.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just like do this tomorrow. And that's the beauty of
Mm-hmm.
training for week, is that if you need to push a day back, you're not behind.
Right. Right.
And dude, we took the day off and we ate our training day food, which was a moderate day. I think I had like 300 grams of carbs, and it kind of helped me
Mm-hmm.
recover a little bit. And then the next day we came back, man, and felt fucking great,
Right.
and crushed it and had an amazing workout. Versus if we would have just powered through, you know what I mean? We might have had a shitty workout. Now I say that it's different circumstances. Like, we're off season, you know what I mean? We can afford to do
Mm-hmm.
that. If we were prepping, we probably would have just said fuck it and still done it.
Still done it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like you kind
Yeah.
of have to context like what you're doing, where you're at, and things like that. And that's why like we're so big on like, what's your sleep like and your daily stress levels, because it all plays into kind of like training.
Yeah, for sure. I know. My trainer used to always be like, "Man, you sleep different. You shit different. You talk different. Like
Mm-hmm.
every day is different, man." So you're not gonna. And I used to have this one dude I used to work out with. Shout out Joe Oberly. He is like 145 and could bench like 325. Like, strong fucking dude. You know what I mean? Very strong dude for his weight.
Mm-hmm.
And he would try to always just max out all the time. And some days he wouldn't get it. And we'd be like, Joe, you were 145 benching 325. Like, probably 145, 150. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, you're benching 325. Like, you might not get it today because, dog, you probably slept 4 hours. You didn't eat good
Yeah.
enough. Like, and he gets so mad. I'm like, why are you so mad, dude? It's a different day. Like, don't fucking like let it fuel you for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, let's do
Yep.
something else. Let's go do some biceps or tricep or put some push or some pull. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I had it a couple weeks ago. I was up on and off all night, woke up probably 5 or 6 times. I overslept. I wasn't able to get my food prep for the day. I had to rush meals together to get to work, and I was exhausted. My food was off, my hydration was off, and I was like, I'm not training today. Like, I'll just push it till tomorrow. It's like you kind of have to live to fight another day sometimes, and that's a good way to avoid injury, man. Is to listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Body will tell you what you need to hear. You just gotta
Right.
our bodies aren't machines.
Right.
They're not run. Even our cars need oil changes and need tune-ups from time to time. Like, our bodies are way more complex. Like, we need to listen a little more.
100%. Yeah, no, people definitely need to listen and be in tune with their body. And that being said, like, I think a lot of people who are serious about training are, obviously, but I have some buddies who aren't. And when you say that, they're like, oh, I don't feel like it today. I'm like, well, okay, but are you like, because there's a difference between like not feeling like it and still going and like actually like dog, I am fucked up. Like
Yeah.
my shoulder hurts, my knee, like everything's fucked up. I'm tired. I woke up 5 times. I'm not training today. I'm like, I'd rather get a better workout tomorrow
Yeah.
versus like, oh, I'm just tired from work. Like, no, dude, get your ass to the gym,
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There's two different things. And, some people, they'll take advantage of that. They're like, oh, I'm just tired from work. Well, it's like, I mean, that's normal. Aren't you tired every day? You know what I
Right.
mean? Not sleep last night. That's completely different.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
100%. Yeah. The other day, I took a little cat nap, like an hour nap before the gym. Usually that fucks me up, but like I kind of needed it. And I asked my buddy, I was like, hey, you still trying to go to the gym? He's like, yeah. And I wasn't, but I was like, you know what, bro? I'm not gonna be a bitch. Like, let's just fucking do it. And it was a fucking great workout. We hit legs and tore it up. So
Yeah. Sometimes some of my best workouts are the ones I'm like, oh, and I get to
yeah,
the
you
gym
don't want to do it. Yeah.
and I sit in the parking lot for 30 minutes.
Right. Just like watching motivational videos or music try to get you like in the mindset.
And I'm like, all right, come on. I'm like, oh, and I like drag myself out and I get in and it's like, once you change your shoes or get your headphones on or
Right.
get up, like, and things kind of start clicking. You're like, all right, let's go.
Right.
You know,
Well, and you say like with your training, like you look at it at all aspects of life. That's just an aspect of life. Like some of the social interactions or podcasts I do, some of the days that I don't want, I'm like, I really don't want to go. Like it ends up being like the best fucking talk I've had
yeah,
with someone. You know what I
yep,
mean? I've had people that I never met before, and I've been like, and I'm a fucking social butterfly, so I'm never usually nervous to meet
yeah,
anybody, but I'm always like, there will be some times where I like, I'm a little bit intimidated. You know, I'm used to talking to fucking guys like you. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah,
used to talking like with meatheads because I go to the gym. My dad's a fucking meathead. Like it doesn't
yeah,
intimidate me.
yeah,
Right. Easy. Now, don't get me wrong. Every time I'm like, I hope this guy's not an asshole. Right. And clearly you weren't. Right. But there's sometimes when like I had a guy who's into politics and he ran for governor, like the youngest person ever run for governor. Come on. And that was like very intimidating because I'm like, dude, I don't talk to people like this. I don't know. I know what I want to ask, but like, what if I sound stupid? What if this?
yeah.
And at the end, you're like, I almost canceled, but instead you're like, fuck it, let's do it. And we do it. And it's like, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
Well, the cool part about you being the host is that like, I don't want to say you want to be stupid, but like you want to play stupid because it's like, you want to ask those questions because people who are watching it may not understand. So, if I'm like, oh, your macros, and then that, to me, that's a super basic term. But if you have someone that doesn't even know what a macro is and you were like, oh, well, some of our viewers may not know what a macro is. So can you break that down? You know what I
Right.
mean? And you could disguise that as yourself. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well,
Right.
some of our people may not know what this political term means. So,
Right.
you say that and then you're like, oh, I'm learning too.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Well, when he came on, man, it was wild because like I had to go back and watch and was like, I missed things that he said. And it was like I was watching a whole new video. Whereas
Yeah.
I'm talking to someone who's in my realm, I don't need to watch the video because I already know what I'm listening for,
Yeah.
for
No, for sure.
sure.
That makes
Y-
sense.
Yeah. Um, I feel like there was one more question I had for you. Um, I know I asked a lot about nutrition because like that is like I feel like a lot of people need to get that through their head.
Yeah.
Um, what so when you're doing and by the way, I love that you're doing bodybuilding and stuff like that. And when you're training for like a competition, are you? I feel like most bodybuilders, I always hear like volume, like we're doing volume. Is it always like that, or do you split it up into like, no, I'm gonna train like super heavy, then right before the competition do volume or something like that? Like how does that work?
Um, so with my people, I don't change anything.
Right.
If like right now I'm training lower volume, I'll keep it. You know what I mean? I'm a big believer in if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
Mhm.
just build the muscle. Why are you going to change it when we're trying to hold on to the muscle? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, so I'll train the same way all the way up until like 2 weeks before the show, 3 weeks before the show.
Mm-hmm.
I may lighten the load by like 20%. And then like the week of the show, it's just like going in and moving some blood in the 4 sets of 10 with like 3 reps in reserve. You know what I mean? Because when we get closer to the show, we really got to pay attention. And like, so my athletes, like when they're closer to the show, I'll have them update like 3 times a week. And then like within like 2 weeks, I'll probably have them update every day. And I'll probably make adjustments daily. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yesterday, everything just felt like 1,000,000 pounds. I couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Okay, well, let's take today off of cardio and let's increase food a little bit. You know what I mean? And, you know, because at that time it's, you know, we're trying to save every piece of muscle we can get.
Right.
So we can't just keep going if our body's telling us that we're losing muscle. And if you go in one day, you know, this week you benched 150 for 10 and next week you get it for 3, that's telling us that like we're starting to lose muscle. So we need to back off a little bit. And out. So yeah, I don't really change anything till right up till like maybe a couple weeks out. And then I'll still train the same way, just maybe with some reps left in the tank. And then the week of the show, we're just trying to recover, man. You know, so like 10 days out, I usually have someone hit their last leg day. And then just kind of like playing with it. Nothing hard, you know, because we're trying to get the body to recover, because if we're just beating the shit out of ourselves, you're going to look like that on stage. We're trying to get the body to like recover and rest and heal, to look fresh, if that makes sense.
Right. 100%. So with cardio, and I'm talking generally about like just not people who are doing competitions, just like clients who just want to be, you know, overall in fitness, but they want to get bigger and leaner and be healthier. When you want a client to do cardio, are you wanting them to do cardio to lose fat, or are you wanting them to do cardio for their overall fitness and help with their overall being and lifting?
I mean, it's kind of all the same to me. I like to have people walk, especially during the summer. I'll have them walk outside, man. Like 30 to 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Get outside, get moving, walk at like a brisk pace. You know what I mean? We're not trying to walk the Olympics, but move at a really good pace, to where you're getting like a light sweat and like you're breathing a little heavy. You know, it's going to help cardiac training. It's going to get us in a zone to burn fat. It'll make training better because you'll be in a little bit better, have better lung capacity. And then maybe sometimes I'll throw in like a hit session. I'll put them on the fan bike, you know, and crush. You know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, right now, like I'm doing it. Every Wednesday I do 3 10-second sprints with 50 seconds in between. It doesn't sound like a lot, but like it demolishes you. And I feel like I want to vomit for like an hour and a half afterwards.
Right.
So maybe put them on something like that once a week and, you know, get them ramped up and then go from there.
Right. So you're saying it's just really all aspects of it with the lifting, dieting, and the cardio. It's really, like you said, it's really all the same. I'm not doing one for fat loss or whatever. It all comes together. It all goes together to make it work.
It's really all for fat loss.
Right.
I mean, all for fat loss. Unless I'm having someone who, like, I'll train people to pass their military PT tests or whatever it may be, and then we'll get into more running and making times and stuff like that. But 99.9% of the time, everyone who comes to me, they're trying to lose fat somehow, some way, and that's what. Yeah.
Right. 100%. Well, I hate to stop it because this has been, dude, a wonderful experience. Thank you. You can go ahead and plug everything if you want, your Instagram and your gym and everything.
Yeah, man. So my personal profile is just blank slate fitness _91. The gym is at Body Shop Gym and Training. We're located right off 69 Highway and 103rd Street in Overland Park. You know, we're one of the only 24-hour facilities around right now, with everything going. You know, if you're interested in PT online coaching, you know, shoot me an email. You can get all my contact information through my Instagram. And that's it, man. You know, we'll have to get you out to the gym sometime. Have to have you and your buddies come out and try it out.
Heck yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I appreciate having me on, man. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Caleb, you're a bad motherfucker. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Have a good day. And yeah, we'll get you out to the gym and try it out. All right, brother?
Awesome. Yeah, of course. Take it easy.
All right. You too, brother. Have a good night.